everyone. Hello. Welcome to the first panel session of the World AI Show. We will dive into the role of AI in the public sector, looking into its implementation in Indonesia also. Good morning, speakers. I hope you're all in good health and enjoying the beautiful morning we have today here in Jakarta. Hello.
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 Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. So let's start the session. Are you all ready?
Yep. Sure.
Yes, we are ready.
Let's see with seeing the overview of AI adoption and implementation in Indonesia. How is actually the current landscape of AI adoption and the digital transformation that follows in the public sector in Indonesia? Can you all start? Let's start with Mr. Nyoman. Can you share with us your thoughts on this?
Yes, thank you, Yasmin. Good morning, everyone. It is my great pleasure to participate in this panel discussion. Yes, actually, there is now growing rapid adoption of artificial intelligence in business, particularly in business in Indonesia. It is really a good challenge and opportunity for us. And actually, currently, the government of Indonesia also now want to accelerate the digital transformation, particularly in Indonesian society, in economy, and in the government. And now it has become the top priority. So we believe that AI can help us to accelerate the transformation. And infrastructure is the key point, of course, already mentioned by Dr. Hamam this morning. Equitable, shareable infrastructure is very important. I think the infrastructure consists of two: the connectivity infrastructure and also the cloud service data center. It is very important to support the implementation, the adoption of AI. And we need also the better regulation to allow data easily transfer. This is still a big challenge for us currently in Indonesia. But now we already launched the single government data, which data should be open and interoperable. And to conclude, actually, Indonesia is just like China, India. We have a huge number of population, so large amount of data should empower sustainable and spread of AI in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nyoman. It is interesting that AI is having a great future in Indonesia, and the government is actually moving forward in the sector. Mr. Juan, can you please share with us your thoughts on this?
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. Once again, it's my pleasure to be able to share here. So I think from my perspective that AI is very interesting opportunity and journey for sure. I think in terms of the domain and topic itself, I think it's very interesting, and it will cover quite a number of areas in terms of impact. So I think at a high-level perspective, we are thoroughly assessing what will be the possible impact and what is the appropriate use cases. Because I believe in every country and organization, it will be important not only just following the latest trend, but how to implement it, how to use it in the appropriate way and strategic use cases. I think that's what we have been doing in Jakarta Smart City as well. I can share more elaboration later on in our discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Juan. It is thank you for your thoughts on this. Mr. Setiaji, can you also share your views on this matter? Thank you.
Yeah. We have a vision to make our province, West Java, a digital province. Of course, AI also including in our journey. AI is not only belong to people live in big city, but also for us who have a mixture of cities and villages. Yeah, it's good even be considered that AI become a shortcut to provide public service to the community, especially in the villages. For example, in one villages, there were very few specialist doctors, so some initial disease diagnosis could be made using the AI and some telemedicine. So it's good, save time and save more patience. Yeah. For example, from Pangandaran is one of our city to Bandung took 6 hours. So if we use this AI, it can save time and also save more patience. Another example is for farmers, can diagnose anti-pest from leaves affected by pests. Yeah, of course, some issue is connections. Because of that, combining with edge computing and some infrastructures, it will. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Setiaji, for sharing us the local implementation of AI in West Java province. Dr. Lucas, can you share with us your view from your party's point of view regarding this matter? Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Ms. Yasmin. Thank you for the opportunity. As academician and being active in the society, we have been discussing this multi-aspect of mixed feeling. Smart and intelligent services have entertained the people, especially with the growing adoption of mobile apps in the social media, and then economic sharing in shopping, transportation, as well as accommodations. At the same time, some critics have warned about the risk of AI growth. For example, the possibility of AI taking over some jobs. Surely, with the advances of technology towards Industry Revolution 4.0, many repetitive tasks have been replaced by machines or robots. And then, since they are capable of doing those labors, which are 3D, they said about dirty, dull, and dangerous. And during this COVID-19 pandemic, we are experiencing also unavoidable disruption in which almost every day habitual activities need to be reformulated. So human close interaction, which is physically or on-premise, are now shifting towards proxy services. Like it is safer and more acceptable to have cyber or AI services in communication and delivery. Perhaps that's what I can share now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas, for your view. Let's move to the next topic. Mr. Nyoman and Mr. Duan, can you share with us how is the Indonesian government anticipate to the needs for AI adoption? And is the current connectivity infrastructure is capable to support it?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Yasmin, thank you very much. That's infrastructure is the foundation. It's the critical issue for the rapid adoption of artificial intelligence in Indonesia. And with the infrastructure, we can allow the quantity of data flowing between device, platform, and network. And this is the prerequisite for the AI adoption. And of course, already mentioned before by Dr. Hamam Riza and also Pak Setiaji, that we have to compare to the other ASEAN countries, we are lag behind, of course. Then that's why as ability to access and transfer the data is critical for AI to work. So in the next few years, the Indonesian government will invest more on the infrastructure. We cannot rely on the private sector to build. We have to. The government have to. And so, what kind of we will allocate budget on infrastructure related with for the mobile network, for the backbone, and even for the satellite service, because otherwise, people from the remote area cannot use the implementation of the broadband, and particularly for AI application. And we will also invest infrastructure in non-commercial, particularly in non-commercial area, very remote area, and this is that's why we need maybe broadband satellite to do that. And I already mentioned that AI needs also cloud service. What's the foundation of cloud service? A national data center, particularly for the government service. With the national data center, all data will be located in the same place, and so the implementation of AI will be much more beneficial for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Newman, for sharing the condition of the government right now on seeing the AI. Mr. Juan, can you add on this? Thank you.
Sure. I think from my perspective, it's very straightforward that infrastructure and data are the two key components to enable or to empower AI, especially the adoption and then to scale it up in the Indonesia context. I think we cannot run away from that. I think we are very happy that the Kemenkominfo is really serious in investing and also working on the infrastructure on this area. I think it's highly relevant and then highly beneficial for all of us. So for Jakarta, I think by reflecting on our experience as well, we know that we are investing in a more or the latest technology like the cloud service and so on. At the same time, as a typical government context, similar in other organizations in industry as well, we will always deal with the legacy system. I think that's the art how we can ensure that all our existing so-called old systems will be able to be combined with the latest innovation, with the latest technology infrastructure and so on to deliver clear benefits. I think I can give you one example, a concrete example in this context. So I think in Jakarta, let's say we have quite a number of CCTV with various qualities and so on. At the same time, we know we should store data not only on premise, but let's say in the cloud platform, so we can have a more sophisticated analysis. Now we're in the midst of pilot and phase-by-phase effort, how to use, let's say, this video analytics data, combining with AI to distinguish, let's say, bus, let's say, car, bike, and then we know the direction as well. So in the COVID-19 situation, whether we can detect whether a person are using a mask or not, something like that. So I think, in principle, yes, I think infrastructure is really critical. Data is also really critical, and I think our key question as a government is how to combine, merge this together with our existing infrastructure and how to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Juan, for sharing the implementation for AI adoption in Jakarta and the future. And it is very relieving to hear that the government will invest more in this in the future. Let's see into the local implementation of the AI itself. To Mr. Setiaji, can you share with us how has AI assisted the West Java government for public sector purposes, and how is the impact and the public response to the adoption? Thank you, Mr. Setiaji.
Yes, we've seen a spike to untap the world of AI recently, especially during the pandemic. Exponential growth of new cases from government to take informed and evidence-based policies from reliable data. We collaborate with the partners such as like Prixai.ai, Notflag, and Pandu to explore how AI can leverage our public services. Some examples of how we harness of AI for use to public services, like self-diagnose for COVID and public mobility monitoring, road traffic, social distance monitoring, and also face mask detection. And one of our use to CCTV to AI is like for plate-based compliance for increasing our tax, and also use the this AI for chatbot. I want to share also our experience how the AI is needed and give good response from us, our public. At the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia, people were very panicked and rushed to go to health facilities. Meanwhile, health facilities are very limited. For this reason, we launched a self-diagnostic so that the public could find out whether the conditions included in the group were like COVID-19. And this result is also to use for rapid test requirements. So the AI is very important thing for us and also for publics to get the good public services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Setiaji, for sharing with us the adoption in West Java government. It will be very great if we can put the same strategy for other major cities in Indonesia. But one of the fundamentals of AI adoption, what are the things that needs to be waived? Dr. Lucas, can you share with us, when it comes to AI tech adoption, what are the important considerations? How important is data ethics in the adoption? Thank you. Dr. Lucas?
Yes, thank you. So one has stated that data is the new oil, while AI is the refinery and the cloud is the pipeline. So we all understand that AI learns from data. The more data, the better it becomes. Therefore, data is the utmost importance in developing AI ecosystem. Not only in the data quality, meaning that a huge amount of meaningful data is needed, but at the same time, the challenge is in the data security and ethics. With the growing storage capacity and processing capability, aggregating data is a snap. It seems that nothing will be a secret anymore. Currently, like bringing our mobile phone can instantly give Google, for instance, full visibility of our movement, our daily habits of waking up, leaving home, arrive at work, visiting places, or more specific like favorite restaurant, preferred theater, etc. Those analytics are easily mined with AI. So the question then, do we still have some privacy? So only us can protect them by regulating data ethics, either by limiting with the information system that can record, or by ruling out the circumstances that the system may not record. But I'm afraid this issue has been very slow and late to be addressed. So later when some serious cases happen, then suddenly people realize how they have lost the privacy. Therefore, we urge the government and the legislators to prepare the respective regulation as soon as possible. Thank you.
Prepare the regulations. Yes, thank you, Mr. Nyoman. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Lucas, for sharing with us. Now let's move to other. To the government stakeholders we have with us, Mr. Nyoman and Mr. Setiaji, especially during this difficult condition of COVID-19. It is important for government stakeholders and policymakers to make timely decisions, especially in healthcare. So how is AI in Indonesia currently taking part in this process? Mr. Nyoman, can you share with us about this? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yasmin. Let me straightforward to respond this question. Actually, I don't think so. There are many AI implementation for this case. I already checked in the internet. I'm not a researcher, AI researcher. But of course, there are some. We already have some application. We have already developed the application. I think some of you are maybe remember that we have Peduli Lindungi. This is joint cooperation between Telkom and Ministry of Kominfo to develop the application to trace the COVID-19. And also there are another application also developed for this. But of course, I think the problem is, in my opinion, is about data. If you don't have much data and all of you people using this application, and then difficult to gain the benefits from this application. And also another issue is that some of the vendors from the overseas or from China, I think, they provide also the AI-based CT scan application. But of course, CT scan only few in Indonesian hospital, only big, large hospital has this. So there are not many cases, in my opinion. But I don't know, the other panels maybe can explain more than me. But I definitely agree that in the near future, it is very useful to provide the government with policymakers to make decisions based on this for the near future. And one of the key issue to me is about the data. In the government, we have to silo data. How can we upgrade? How can we maximize to utilize the data if the silo? Every government agency have their own data, and there's no connection. There is no connectivity among them. There is no interoperability between them. So we need to make sure that the data is not silo and it's work together. And that's why we have a national single data. This is the one platform to allow the government data is open and interoperable. I think that's what we are going to achieve in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nyoman. Mr. Setiaji, can you share with us on this matter also? How is the West Java government utilize technology and AI to take decisions in this difficult time of COVID-19?
Yeah, we have built the application we call the Pico Bar. In this application, more than 38 features already in there, not only for case COVID, use diagnostics, donations, also for social safety nets and etc. Also in contract tracing. Yeah, a lot of data and high technology, including in these applications, especially at AI. So with this application, we get some experience. First, lessening the burden of healthcare facilities. AI allows the futures to keep track on patient symptoms and give a spectrum of recommendation, including the likelihood of virus exposure, screening for PCR, rapid tests, eligibility, guidance to home care and home isolation and telemedicine. The second, machine learning, modeling and forecast. So AI is very important to make decisions more quickly and accurate based on the data, including news and data trends. Yeah, we also track and grab or some of data or issues, and also disaster management. And the last was computer vision. Yeah, we detecting and monitoring of health protocol violation through CCTV in public area. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Setiaji. Again, it is very attractive, West Java government in how they are utilizing technology, especially in healthcare and the CCTV also. Now let's address the workforce sector in Indonesia, particularly addressing the common misconception that adopting AI will spike up unemployment rate. So, Mr. Duan and Dr. Lucas, can you share with us on this matter how AI, specifically robotics and cognitive automation, will affect the workforce landscape? Is it good or is it bad? Mr. Duan.
Okay, sure. Thanks for the question. I think it's a very common concern or question about AI, that it will bring unemployment. If I may quote, I think Yuval Noah Harari is one of the so-called famous author who is addressing these issues as well, about the possibility of technology, humanity, and so on. From my perspective, I try to learn from the historical perspective, at least two key areas. The first one is from the Industrial Revolution itself, and then the second one is about the internet or the .com era. I think in the past there was discussion as well, when we have this Industrial Revolution, the machine will take over most of our jobs and so on. Even when the internet so-called has also increased in terms of adoption, it will there is an argument that it will remove some of the jobs. In fact, it's true that there are some jobs that are being so-called automated by the machine, by the technology, and so on. But at the same time, there are new jobs that we haven't thought before. So, for example, like the job that are common now, for example, like data analysts, data scientists, machine learning engineers, AI engineers, and so on. So, in the last maybe 20, 30 years ago, we haven't really thought about this, but now it appears. So, I think, to be honest, if you ask me now, personally, I am still open. I'm keen to see the possible impact about this. For sure, there are certain areas or jobs that can be automated, including in the public sector. I'm expecting actually there are certain AI or algorithm that can see the consistency and the coherence of the public policy that we have made. I think there's a possible areas. I have some friends who are doing research on that. At the same time, I'm also excited. I think there will be new opportunities, new jobs that will be open in the future that we may not think or imagine right now. Maybe in the next 10, 20 years, there will be new exciting jobs for our future generation. I think that's my comment. So for me personally, I'm still open. I'm still exploring. I'm still learning the latest development of this AI and also the impact in various industries and sectors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Juan. With Dr. Lucas, can you add on this? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I agree with Mr. Juan about that. So, indeed, the current economic crisis challenges us with job loss, and the requirement of job creations. Surely, the changes, especially by the technological advances, puts people out of comfort zone. Therefore, people need to always update and upgrade their skills, ready for new kinds of tasks. For example, imagine when desktop computer were replacing manual handwriting and typing machine, but this IT era opened wide job vacancy, like programmers, user interface or UI UX designers, operators, IT support, etc. So the bottom line is be optimistic with human personality traits like humble, caring, sociable, imaginative, encouraging. People will still have many occupations for living. I think that's in short my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas. Optimism and self-upgrading are the key words here, and there are still human elements that needed in the workforce that cannot simply be replaced with technology. Yes. I think now we can start opening the Q&A session if anyone would like to ask questions. The audience. So I think if anyone would like to ask some questions, just raise hand. Okay, I think we have no questions so far. And let's ask. Okay, so Mr. Nyoman, can you share with us the current challenge in for AI adoption in Indonesia? So infrastructure is definitely a homework right now. Is there any other support that is needed in regulation-wise or policy-wise? Mr. Nyoman, can you add on this? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For regulatory wise, of course, there are many issues that we have to respond. First is, I think, for the case in the healthcare, against about the data, if the regulation doesn't allow data to be transferred, medical record, electronic medical record to be transferred to other hospital, from one hospital to other, then this will become obstacle to utilize the AI, big data and AI, of course. And the other issue is we need to accelerate actually the adoption. Of course, we need to, of course, we need to have the umbrella national AI strategy. It should be consistent with our national philosophy, etc. I think Dr. Hamam Riza already mentioned quite a lot. And we want to accelerate the adoption of AI by using, let's say, the regulatory sandbox. Every initiative, every idea should be checked by the regulation, but it is not to be stopped. We cannot just stop. And so during the pandemic, I think there's many other initiatives from the startup to apply the AI, but the regulation doesn't allow sometimes. So we need to accelerate by using a regulatory sandbox to allow those kind of initiatives. I think this is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nyoman. So I think we have reached the end of this panel. So to conclude, I would like to say that AI in public sector is paramount of importance, but infrastructure and connectivity is still an ongoing homework right now in Indonesia. But local implementation is showing progress, especially in healthcare. Aspects in adopting AI is also need to be overlooked by regulatory means. And in job creations, optimism is key, and people need to upgrading constantly. And the opportunity is very bright in the future. Yes. So thank you all speakers for this insightful discussion, and thank you for all the audience for participating in this session. Please enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Great pleasure to see all of you.
Thank you.
Good day.